I want to start today with a little thought experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to imagine I hand you a sheet of paper,
Okay.
and on it, there's a list, say 10 sentences. Every single one is grammatically perfect. Subject, verb, object, the punctuation, it's all there.
So technically it's flawless English.
Technically, yeah. But when you read them, in order, it feels like absolute gibberish. You know, like a dictionary that's been put through a blender.
Right. It's just noise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then I take that away and I hand you a short story.
Mm.
And maybe it's a bit messy. There could be a typo, a run-on sentence, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you read it and instantly a movie starts playing in your mind. You feel something. You know who the good guy is.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is one just a broken robot and the other is communication?
That is the million-dollar question. And the answer is kind of hidden in this invisible glue that holds language together. I mean, we spend so much time obsessing over grammar.
Oh, yeah. Did I use who or whom? Correct.
Right. But we barely ever talk about the code that's running underneath all of that.
We're talking about discourse analysis.
We are. And we're really digging into the cognitive rules of coherence. How your brain takes what is essentially a stream of noise and builds a whole world out of it.
You know, when I first looked at this topic, I thought, okay, linguistics, this is going to be a little dry.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I read, it's basically the study of the matrix.
Huh. That's a great way to put it.
It's the simulation our brains run when we talk to each other.
It really is. In computational linguistics, when we try to teach an AI to understand people, we find that the grammar part is, well, it's actually pretty easy.
Right. A computer can spot a noun in a millisecond.
Totally trivial. But figuring out what that noun actually means in the context of a conversation that started 5 minutes ago, that's incredibly hard. That's the magic. We call it coherence.
It's the difference between a pile of bricks and a cathedral.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to kind of reverse engineer that cathedral. We're going to look at these hidden rules our brains follow that keep a conversation from, just crashing.
Mm-hmm.
We've got something called the universe of discourse, which sounds incredibly sci-fi.
It does.
And the architecture of argument and salience, which is all about where we're pointing the spotlight.
It really is an investigation into how the human mind builds a model of reality just from hearing sounds.
So let's crack this open. Let's start with the basics, right? The things in the story, the actors on stage.
Right. Entity coherence.
This seems really simple on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
If I tell you a story about a guy named Dave,
Okay.
I need you to know that when I say he later on, I'm still talking about Dave.
Which sounds obvious to us. We do it without even thinking. But for a machine, it's a nightmare. It's the problem of tracking references.
There was this specific example in the source material that I think just perfectly shows how much work our brains are doing in the background. It's about a monumental corner cupboard.
Ah, yes, the cupboard and the count. A classic.
So let's walk through it. It starts, this monumental corner cupboard follows a drawing by the French architect Nicolas Pinot. Okay, simple enough.
Right. In your mind, you've just created an object. Let's call it Object 1.
Next sentence. The cupboard's large scale reflects Eastern European taste. Still tracking.
Right.
The cabinet was actually made for a Polish general, Count Jan Klemens Baranicki.
Okay, stop right there. We now have two main entities on stage. We've got the cupboard, which the text just casually called the cabinet.
Right.
And we have this new character, the Count.
And here's where the brain does its thing. The next sentence says, an inventory of Count Branicki's possessions made at his death describes both the corner cupboard and the objects displayed on its shelves.
His death, its shelves.
And we instantly know his is the count and its is the cupboard. We don't even slow down. But how? Why didn't we think his was the architect from sentence 1?
This is a device called anaphora. It's just pointing back to something you mentioned earlier. But to really get how it works, you have to realize you're not just matching words, you're building a dynamic mental box.
The universe of discourse.
The universe of discourse. It comes from discourse representation theory, or DRT. Think of it like a clean room.
Go ahead.
When you start reading, your brain opens an empty box. You read monumental corner cupboard, and your brain puts a little token in there. Let's call it by 1. You read Count Branicki, and it drops in token by 2.
So when I see his, my brain isn't just looking at the words on the page. It's scanning the tokens inside that box.
Exactly. It scans the box for a token that is male and fits the context of death. It finds the count match. Then it scans for a non-human token that has shelves. It finds the cupboard match.
So we're just playing a matching game in this little virtual room. But here's the part that really surprised me. This box, this universe of discourse, it doesn't just hold things we explicitly said.
No, it doesn't. This is where it gets really interesting. The box includes inferences, things you just assume are there.
The Korean government example from the text just lays this out so clearly.
Right. You should walk us through that one.
Okay, so the text says, for millions of young Koreans, homeownership is a dream, full stop. Then the next sentence, for the government, it has become a volatile political issue.
Now, just pause there. If you were a computer program, a really strict, literal one, you'd probably crash right here.
Because I never said the government of Korea.
You never even said the noun Korea. You said the adjective Koreans. So when you say the government, a machine should ask, which government? The government of France, the world government.
But of course we don't do that. We just breeze right past it.
Because of what's called a bridging inference, the second you heard young Koreans, your brain didn't just log the people, it spun up a whole context. It created a Korea entity in your universe of discourse. And your world knowledge knows that countries have governments, so it sort of preemptively added a government token to the box, just in case.
That's wild. We're literally hallucinating actors onto the stage before they're even announced.
We have to. Otherwise, communication would be so exhaustingly detailed, you'd have to talk like a lawyer. There are young people in a country called Korea. That country has a government.
Right. Instead, we just trust the listener is building the world along with us.
We trust the simulation.
There's another one, a really subtle one with John and Mary.
Oh, yeah. John and Mary came to dinner. They are a nice couple.
They. The word they wasn't in the first sentence. John was there. Mary was there.
But they is a plural entity. Your brain took the token for John and the token for Mary, saw they were acting together, and just sort of fused them into a new plural token.
So they had a place to land.
Exactly. It really shows that listening isn't passive. It's an act of creation.
And that's just the objects. That's just the furniture. A conversation has a shape, an argument.
Which brings us to relational coherence.
The geometry of argument.
Yeah. This moves us from tracking who to understanding why. Why are you telling me this? And for this, we use something called rhetorical structure theory, or RST.
RST. And the main image here isn't a box anymore. It's a tree.
It's a tree, correct. Discourse is a hierarchy. Some sentences are the main point. We call that the nucleus. And some are just supporting details. Those are the satellites.
The parakeet example from the source was great for this. Super simple.
It is. The text is, parakeets are ideal for people with little room.
Okay, that's the main claim. That's our nucleus.
And then it's followed by, a cage takes very little room, and a small apartment is sufficient space for their flying exercises.
Those are the satellites. They're just evidence.
Exactly. So in your mind, you hang those two sentences off the first one. They're branches on the trunk. If you took away the ideal pet sentence, the other two would feel kind of orphaned, you know?
This tree thing seems intuitive, but what blew my mind is that there are rules about how you can grow it. And if you break them, the conversation just breaks.
You're talking about the right frontier constraint.
The right frontier constraint. Sounds like a border dispute in a Western movie.
It does, but it's a really sharp rule about attention. So imagine this tree is growing as we talk. The right frontier is the open edge of the tree. The most recent thing you said, or the main topic you're on.
And the rule is, you can only attach new information to that right frontier.
Right. You can't just go and glue a new leaf onto a branch that you closed 5 minutes ago.
This is hard to picture in the abstract, but the source has the absolute funniest example of this failing. The salmon story.
Oh, this is a classic. It's a perfect example of what a discourse crash looks like.
Okay, let's do it. I'll tell the story. Sentence A. John had a great evening last night.
Okay, top of our tree, the main nucleus.
Sentence B. He had a great meal.
Right, moving down a level. We're elaborating on the evening.
Sentence C. He ate salmon.
Elaborating on the meal, so we're getting deep in the details now. The salmon node is open on our right frontier.
Okay, sentence D. He devoured lots of cheese.
Still attached to the meal.
Sentence E. He won a dancing competition.
Whoa. Okay, a big shift. Winning the dancing competition has nothing to do with the cheese or the salmon. So to make sense of this, your brain has to go all the way back up the tree and attach this to the great evening node.
So, mentally, what just happened to the whole meal branch?
It's closed. You signaled, I'm done talking about food now. You moved on. The meal, the cheese, the salmon, they're walled off. They are no longer on the right frontier.
So here's the glitch. Imagine after saying, He won a dancing competition. I had one more sentence. It was a beautiful pink.
It was a beautiful pink.
And the listener just goes, what?
Your brain is desperately looking for something pink on the right frontier. Was the competition pink? Was his trophy pink?
But I'm at the salmon.
Grammatically, you're trying to point to the salmon, but structurally, you can't get there. You close that door. To get back to it, you'd have to say something like, by the way, that salmon I mentioned earlier. You have to explicitly reopen that branch. That's so wild. Even though the salmon was just 2 sentences ago. It's right there in my short-term memory. I can't touch it. It's behind the structural wall.
Exactly. It explains that feeling when someone is telling a rambling story and they jump back to some detail from 5 minutes ago and you're just completely lost.
Wait, who is Steve again?
It's not that you forgot who Steve was. It's that the speaker violated the right frontier. They tried to attach a thought to a closed branch, and your brain's navigation system just couldn't make the jump.
Okay, so we've got the box of actors, the universe of discourse, we've got the tree, the structure, but there's one more layer. Because even if something is in the box and on the tree, it doesn't mean I'm thinking about it right now.
Right. We have to talk about the spotlight.
Salience.
Salience. This is the variable that tracks what's most important at this exact second.
Yeah.
And it dictates the specific words we choose.
The research talks about the activation hierarchy. This is basically a ladder of attention. It is. Think of it like a lighting rig. Some things are under the main spotlight, they are in focus. Some are in the dim light, activated. And some are just in the dark, unfamiliar.
And we have specific words for each level of light.
If something's right under the main spotlight, in focus, we use a pronoun, he, she, it. If I say it, I'm assuming that thing is burning bright in your mind.
And if it's a bit dimmer, activated but not in focus.
We use words like that or this, that cupboard.
And if it's completely in the dark, unfamiliar.
You use a cupboard.
There's a really subtle example that shows how sensitive we are to this. It's about a guy, John, considering a lifestyle change.
The becoming a bum example.
Right. John thought about becoming a bum. Now, compare 2 possible next sentences. Option A, it would hurt his mother.
Okay.
Option B, that would make his father furious.
It versus that.
They seem almost interchangeable, but they feel different.
They do. In the first one, it would hurt his mother. The word it grabs the most active thing available, the action of becoming a bum. It feels immediate.
Okay.
But that would make his father furious signals a slight distance. It's like it's pointing to the whole situation or the fact that he thought about it, not just the act itself.
So that is like you're pointing a finger from across the room, and it is like you're holding the thing in your hand.
That's a great way to put it, and we follow these rules so intuitively.
Which brings us to my favorite part of this, the repeated name penalty. This is such a funny psychological quirk.
It's a very robust finding. You'd think being clear means being explicit, so repeating a name should be the clearest way to talk, right?
In theory, yeah. If I say Bruno, you know exactly who I mean. So listen to this. Bruno was the bully. Bruno chased Tommy. Bruno watched Tommy.
It sounds robotic.
It sounds like an alien trying to write a story. And here's the kicker. When you actually test this, people's reading time goes up. They physically slow down when they hit the second and third Bruno.
Yeah.
But why? Bruno is unambiguous. He could be ambiguous. Why is the explicit name harder to process?
Because you're fighting your brain's prediction engine. The first time you say Bruno, you shine that huge spotlight on him. He's the star. He's the main focus. Your brain is now screaming, okay, the spotlight's on Bruno. Give me a pronoun. Give me a he.
We are craving the he.
We are. The pronoun confirms the spotlight hasn't moved. But when you say Bruno again, you are sending a signal that says, hey, move the spotlight.
But I'm just moving it back to Bruno.
Exactly. You're telling the brain to reset the stage for a character who's already on it. It's a cognitive stumble. Your brain goes, wait, is this a new Bruno or the same one? Why are we reintroducing him?
It's amazing. He is actually more efficient than the name itself.
Yeah.
We think of pronouns as lazy, but they're really like high-speed data compression.
They're signals of continuity. They tell the listener, keep looking where you're already looking.
Which connects to centering theory, which I know is mathematically complex. But the basic idea is we want to keep the camera move smooth.
Yes. Centering theory just says that a good conversation minimizes the jumps. You want the focus of one sentence to flow smoothly into the next.
Okay, let's zoom out. We have covered a ton of ground here. We've decoded the matrix.
We've given it a good shot.
We started with the cupboard and the count entity coherence. And we learned that we're not just reading words, we're populating a whole universe of discourse, a mental simulation.
Where we infer things like the Korean government just to make a story work.
Then we looked at the structure-relational coherence, the tree. We learned that stories have a shape, a hierarchy. And we learned the hard way with the salmon that you can't attach new info to a closed branch.
The right frontier constraint. A rule for life, really.
And finally, salience, the spotlight. Knowing when to use it, when to use that, and why saying Bruno 3 times makes you sound like a malfunctioning android.
The repeated name penalty.
So, bringing this all back, why does this matter? Why should the average person care about DRT or RST?
I think it matters because it redefines what it means to be a good communicator. We usually think being articulate is about having a big vocabulary.
Right.
But this research shows communication is really about empathy.
Empathy.
Cognitive empathy. To speak well, you have to run a simulation of the other person's simulation. You have to guess what's in their universe of discourse. You have to know which branch of the tree they're holding on to. You have to know where their spotlight is.
It's not about what I know. It's about managing what you, the listener, are building in your head.
Exactly. When a conversation crashes, it's rarely a vocabulary problem. It's because you violated the architecture of their attention. You pointed to a salmon that wasn't there anymore.
That's a profound way to think about it. Before we go, I want to leave everyone with one final thought from the source material.
Yeah.
It's a concept we didn't really have time for, but it's the ultimate test of this whole simulation idea.
You're thinking of non-veridical relations.
Yes. I mean, everything we've talked about today assumes the story is true. John ate the salmon. But this theory also handles things that aren't true.
Corrections. Negations. It wasn't the red wire, it was the blue wire.
Just think about what your brain has to do there. You have to build a mental model of the red wire scenario, understand it completely, and then stamp it with a big false label, while at the same time building the blue wire scenario.
You're holding 2 parallel realities in your head at once. The reality of what happened and this ghost reality of what was corrected or avoided.
It implies our brains are powerful enough to run the simulation and the anti-simulation at the same time.
It's a wonder we understand each other at all.
So the next time you're in an argument and someone says, I didn't say that, I said this, just take a moment to appreciate the sheer computing power it takes to even process that correction.
We're all just running these incredible supercomputers in our heads.
We really are. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
My pleasure.
We'll see you on the next one.